So let's switch gears and start talking about a little bit about Badlands, which, as we know, is a film about Martin Sheen and trying to go through this journey with Sissy Spacek, and they're all supposedly in love, and kind of then what happens to them on this journey.
And they killed a lot of people.
And kill a lot of people. Yes, we can't forget that part.
Based off the famous spree killer, Charles Starkweather.
Yes. I guess what I kind of would like to hear is maybe kind of how does this film fit into maybe the other two that we've been talking about? Do you see any connections between the three?
Well, I was thinking about that. All three films have murders in them, and all of them take this sort of dispassionate or somewhat cynical view towards murder. And Martin Sheen's character probably the most of any of the characters, seeming completely dissociated. But this, probably more than anything, is a movie a lot of directors now, harken back to and talk about. Quentin Tarantino's talked about its influence on him.
Yeah.
But it's funny to think that Tarantino would want to allude back to Badlands, because Tarantino sort of represents that really hyper-intense contemporary Hollywood movie style with really fast-paced dialogue, lots of pop culture allusions, really quick editing, real dense storytelling, and Terrence Malick is really at the other extreme, where the frame is really emptied out and you have these blank characters on this amazing American landscape.
There's something else that kind of still has to grab my attention. I can't help but to think of David Lynch, and kind of even Mulholland Drive somewhat, but even more than Mulholland Drive, Wild at Heart, which was one of those films that David Lynch didn't. I mean, it was probably the more mainstream of all of David Lynch's films. But I wonder, the scene where they're driving through, just they're not driving through the Badlands, but wherever, Louisiana, or wherever it is.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of that sort of like the whole picturesque sort of the scenery. So I feel like there's a connection there with just the cinematography and trying to pull in the landscape and a little bit.
Sure, well that's probably where we've seen the most direct influence on visual style, is the classic American road movie. So most directors haven't taken it as far as Malick does, where sometimes you feel like you're watching almost a nature documentary that just happens to have these spree killers sort of popping in and out of it.
Right.
But clearly Malick is as interested in all of the animals who show up in the frame, or all the and I think mainstream Hollywood really couldn't handle the pacing and the kind of dispassionate point of view on the characters of Malick, but has sort of incorporated that into more conventional road movies. So you'll have little bits, I'm sure even something like Midnight Run has little bits of landscape, or Thelma and Louise, I think, is a movie that's like a pop version of Badlands, where you have a much quicker pace, and the characters are more sympathetic because the only person they kill clearly, got what was coming to him. But Ridley Scott similarly captures these landscapes that give us a sense of the epic nature of what's going on.
Ted, we want to thank you so much for being on TCM Film Geeks.
Thanks for having me.
Very good. You can read more of Ted's writings on film at tedfriedman.com. And if you want to learn more about any of the films we've talked about today, whether you're a film geek or not,
then be sure to tune in to TCM Film Geeks, or check us out online at tcm.com/filmgeeks.
See you next time.